What is up, RegenAG Nation? This is part of our pest series, specifically dealing with foliar and fungal pathogens, diseases that are created in fields either by conditions or just high pathogen loads in fields. Some of them are very unique to certain crops. Other ones, they seem to attack pretty well any crop. So today we're out in a sugar beet field. We are looking for Cercospora. Early in the season it was a bit hard to find. Now it has reared its ugly head and we are seeing the devastation that comes with Cercospora infestations. So I want you to take a look, if you'll come down with me and look at these leaves. You'll be able to see kind of just a small infection here. This is really not that bad. You can see this is getting a little bit worse on the Cercospora. In a minute I'll take you out to some parts of the field that are seeing really significant pressure. The reason we started here in this area was just to show you minor infection. We were talking to the guys at the research station. They said from anywhere from 3 to 5% infection on a leaf will cause economic damage for the grower. So whether that's yield, quality, overall the amount of sugar that comes out of these beets that's recoverable, you'll start to see economic damage at that point, which is just a very small percentage. Certainly you have more in some of the stuff we already looked at. Now I want to bring you over here real quick and show you, because we've actually got a rain gauge out in this field, and I want to just show you. Obviously it's kind of gross because there's some bugs and things in there, but as you can see in this particular field we hit over 1.5 inches of rain, which for this particular area in the Treasure Valley, we typically in the summer months maybe have 2 inches of total rain. So all this rain has come within the last 2 weeks essentially. Part of that was from the hurricane. It's just atypical for this area. These things just totally broke out in Cercospora. So we don't have good disease modeling for this disease in southern Idaho like we do in some of the Dakotas, based on humidity and temperature and things like that. For some reason it doesn't really work or translate as well here. So we're really trying to put our thumb on that and figure out what are the conditions that we have to be concerned about and really make sure we protect this crop. Okay, so we've arrived at a location in the field. It's not the worst infected part of the field, as you can see kind of behind me. I don't know if you can pick this up in the video, but it's literally kind of just a shade of dark brown. You can see, sneak behind you, grab a couple leaves here. This plant tissue is really just decaying completely and kind of going down here. So Another thing you'll notice, what will happen is as we get this Cercospora infection on these leaves and these leaves start to go down, oftentimes with these sugar beets, we'll get this new growth. So within this new growth, this is great. So what the plant is doing is the plant's really smart and it's trying to survive. It's trying to complete its life cycle. So it starts to send out new growth, which is great for the plant, but it's not so great for the beet itself. It's pulling sugar reserves down out of the beet and putting them into the plant so we can create leaf material, create new photosynthesis, healthy material, and then start the process over again. So the plant's trying to survive, but it's also robbing sugar from these plants as well at the same time. So that affects us financially as growers, and that's part of the major issue with it. As you can see, there's some areas where this severe infection really causes some issues. Another little bonus, as you can see, as I move this plant material, you may be able to see these moths. What that is that's actually some of these caterpillars or loopers completing their life cycle as well and turning into moths. They're also a major pest. And so oftentimes we'll treat for that with like a BT or something else. But obviously this has been one of the worst looper years on record. So we're going to see some of that in these sugar beets. Either way, we want you to understand it's not easy to farm. It's not easy to grow these crops that go into everything that we as consumers eat. The reason that we're doing this is we want to connect the end user and the consumer with the farmer so that we can have this understanding of why they do what they do, and also also a deep appreciation for it. So if you like anything, if you like to bake, if you like sugary goods, ice cream, all that stuff, these beets, these sugar beets, are the reason that we're able to do that. And these growers go through a lot to make sure that we can produce that. So thank you for joining us. Always remember, farming's not easy, but farming is fun. All right, so quick little update for you. We're 2-3 weeks down the line. We want to just kind of continue to show you the progression of this. As you can see, this Cercospora really get in here and it destroys a lot of the leaf, which is a lot of the sugar, a lot of the photosynthesis building. As you can see, stuff like this starts to build back, which also uses sugars maybe up from the beet. We're sending sugar the wrong way. Right now, this time of year when it gets cool, we want to be translocating that sugar down in the beet for harvest. So maximum sugar recovery. So Cercospora can be a major, major challenge. As you can see, classic symptoms, but then ultimately it can turn into this a few weeks later. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna send up the drone so you guys can get a look at this from up above. All right, so as you can see from these aerial views, it almost looks like we've desiccated this crop. I mean, you can just see there's a tremendous amount of damage. As you can see from some of the sprayer tracks that there's probably been a fungicide applied, but if it's not there when the conditions suit, it can really take off on you in a hurry. So you kind of want to be ahead of these weather events. You kind of want to be watching to see when it might be able to be those conditions that things are ripe to really explode in a field. Oftentimes with Cercospora, they're just sitting there waiting. As you move down the field, you can see there's some areas that aren't quite as bad. The other thing to note is oftentimes in lower lying areas, that's where we see the most problems. So in fields that have a lot of undulation and a lot of change in height, then sometimes the knolls and things will be a lot different from those low lying areas that tend to collect a lot more water. So hey, obviously this isn't a great thing for us to go through and have these challenges in farming, but guess what? We do learn from this, we do grow from this, we do better understand things and how to protect crops and how to raise good solid crops so that you, the consumer at home, can enjoy them. Thank you as always for joining us, and remember to keep farming fun.